Hi, Anindita. Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, Mayank. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
No, absolutely. Pleasure's all mine. Let me first tell you something, Anindita. So, it's been 3 years since I joined Adobe. The only
Mhm.
regret I have in these 3 years is I haven't got a chance to speak with you. There's so much I've heard about you, honestly. So, first and foremost, a big, big thank you for doing this. This podcast series isn't too old, it's barely my second episode, but just to share the same virtual room as yourself, just to get this opportunity means so much. So, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much, Mayank. And I'm not so difficult and inaccessible, but yeah, glad that we're having this conversation. Absolutely.
So the series, and it's actually called Unfiltered with Mayank. We have like,
Okay.
candid, unfiltered chat. We basically put ourselves out there. And I actually want to, start by sharing a personal story.
Mhm.
Couple of years back, I'd say a few years back, I wasn't doing so well professionally, right? I was going through a low phase in life. And I was pretty much sure that nothing's working out, there's a dead end, and I might need a new challenge. I might need to turn things around by changing the environment, probably until
Mhm.
a leader stepped into my life. That leader
Mhm.
had like a series of conversations with me where he made me realize a couple of things. Number one,
Mhm.
what are the things I am good at? And I think that's the funny part about being in like low phase. See, when things are going right for you, you're so sure about your abilities to do well and your strengths. But when you hit a rough patch, it's like you turn a blind eye towards yourself. You just become so critical. And I was like that. So he made me realize things I'm good at. He made me realize things that I need to work on to, like turn things around. 6 months post those conversations, I started seeing like few changes. Number one, I found my mojo back. I found so much confidence in my abilities. I started backing myself to get the job done. Second, I started seeing failures as these stepping stones to success. I started finding
Okay.
growth opportunities in these failures. And the best thing, the most important thing that happened is I was happy. I was happy doing, what I was doing. I was genuinely looking forward to work every day. I'd say I was the privileged one because I had access to that leader. So
Yep.
many people, we
Mhm.
talk to, who we probably meet away from work as well, don't probably get that guidance and mentorship at the right time. So the reason of doing this podcast and having you on the show today is to take your story, take your journey to those people. Because if there's anyone, Anita, who might be listening to the conversation today, he or she might just probably apply a rule from your playbook and take that extra step in life. So that's like a context of why I'm doing this. Um,
Awesome.
and and with that being said, I'll give it to you for a quick introduction. I'd love to know a little bit about you. And I also want you to tell us things which people who know you also don't know about you.
Oh God, that's going to be a tough one. But first of all, I think thank you very much. And you're right when you said about mentorship, about the right guidance, the right timing. Um, it's not just that. It also, Mayank, is how you adapt to it and what is it that you make out of it. It could have been that you got the right guidance, you got the right mentorship, but you still did not take the initiative. So
Right.
kudos to you for doing that, and great that you're able to flourish so beautifully into something that you really enjoy. So that's brilliant. Coming to myself, I'm pretty much a very simple, open book. I've been, from a professional perspective, it's been what, 28 plus years of working. I've always been in the communications and in the marketing and sales field. Um, I've worked across industries, be it startup, be it I started my career in communications, and at that point in time, obviously, it was my first job ever. I just knew I needed to be somewhere in comms and marketing. Didn't know really what I was wanting to do. Um, but as I moved along, I sort of gained experience across startups. I gained experience across logistics, then went into the big love of tech marketing, which is my introduction into IBM, which was like multiple careers within the same organization, and then of course consulting, and then now into Adobe. Um, as a person, mom. Love traveling. I love to enjoy my sleep and my me time. I think people who know me uh, will say that I'm very direct. I'm a person who comes across a bit too direct and a bit too open, I guess. Over the years, I guess I've mellowed down. I don't know. But things that they don't know about me. Hmm, difficult. Um, I'm a baker. I'm very passionate about my baking. I don't do too much of it. I used to, but I don't do too much of it now. Um, I'm a more water person than a mountain person. I've done my certification in deep sea diving.
Wow.
Um, I like traveling. One of my objectives is once I get my kids settled in, I think I'll be a little more free to be able to travel the globe and gain experiences. So yeah, that's really me in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Oh, I think that's lovely, just fantastic to hear. 28 years in running. What an illustrious career you've had. Um, tell me like something. At what point did you realize that you want to be in this field for the longest of times? Like you want to earn your bread and butter, in marketing and in communications. Did you have that eureka moment?
Actually, surprising you asked me that honestly, multiple such eureka moments, and for me, it was all about. So when my first press release came out in the media when I was in PR,
Mm.
was like, oh wow, so cool, see, look at my article out in the paper. Oh, my
Right,
brand has got covered. I mean, that was my eureka moment. If I looked at something that when you did a brand launch and you got
right,
something introduced into the market, like when I was doing Ayurvedic Concepts, which is Himalaya Drug Company, um, when we launched that brand in the market, it was like, wow, people are, is it doing well, is it not doing well? So I think there are multiple such beautiful moments that have created my love for what I do. Um, and as I moved along, I had this that I want to be leading a marketing team. I want to be the chief marketing person. I think the journey has been beautiful. Yeah.
right. 28 years, when you started this, right? And now when you look at how marketing probably as an industry has evolved, from your perspective, Anindita, what do you think has been like the biggest change, the biggest like shift that you see?
From a marketing perspective,
Right.
I think the way we market,
Okay.
I think the way we market has changed. Over the years, I think thanks to technology, what I am capable of doing today, the kind of the landscape with which I am able to work with insights that come in, and therefore I take a more informed decision.
Right.
The speed at which I'm able to do it, the innovations that I'm able to do across multiple channels. I think all that has been enabled thanks to technology, and it empowers us as marketeers.
Right.
And I think that in terms of how you go to market has been, I think, the biggest change. And I think it's also about how marketing has really pivoted
Right.
to be seen as a critical growth function and a revenue contributor rather than just being a support function. I think that
Right.
pivot has been very, very significant, and it's a really great pivot. And I'm very, very happy about that.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. In fact, Anita, I was looking at the summit and the highlights from the summit, and congratulations on hosting a fantastic event again. In one of the insights, the entire talk about AI came in, and we know how important AI has now become, in our lives. I personally do probably about 20 tools to just get one job done because that's how prevalent and that's how widespread AI has become. I feel AI has divided people. There are the supporters, and probably I'll come into the supporter section, who feel that we now have this robo kind of a thing, so to say, who comes in, streamlines work, does my work, and then makes my job pretty easy, and I can focus on more strategic tasks. And then on
Yeah.
the other side, there'd probably be the critics who feel that AI has come in and probably killed creativity, right? You're not using your brain enough at times. Maybe you should be using it that much. My question to you is, where do you think we need to draw the line when it comes to this?
You know, my personal opinion is that it will coexist and there's a balance. AI, in my opinion, is an extremely intelligent tool, uh, but it's a tool,
Yeah,
it's a technology
right,
which you need to use. And therefore, again, the way I look at it is that it gives me the ability to do a lot of things that I may have not been able to do in terms of speed and scale. But it doesn't mean that it will do things on its own unless I'm able to direct it, because I'm in the driver's seat and it gives me certain options to pick and choose from, but ultimately it's my decision. So I think it'll clearly coexist. Repetible tasks very clearly will become a lot more driven by AI, and gives me the option of saying, hey, this has been taken care of, it's repetitive, it can get done by AI, because it's a very um, set agenda and a pattern, and you ask this and this is what will come out of it. The second is that, and I think Shantanu had alluded to this, uh, saying that the fear of a blank page is taken away. And I think that's such a beautiful way to put it, because, a lot of us uh, erstwhile would just look and say, where do I start? How do I start? What do I do?
right,
And I think that ability has been completely wiped out. It's just empowered us to say, hey, I'm giving you at least a concept.
right,
How you shape that concept to the context that you want it and how you want to take it to market is ultimately your decision, your
right,
experience, your capability that comes into the picture. And I think that's why I always say it coexists.
right.
And all of us are intelligent enough to know exactly what we need to give to AI and how responsible we need to be when we are ensuring that certain tasks are being given, which will be driven through AI, and what is it that you're going to be focusing on from a human perspective. So therefore, it has to be the
Balance.
human-centered AI, which is what Adobe talks about, is so critical. So therefore, for me, it's a balance which coexists, and it's an intelligent teammate with you in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. I feel that it's like any other tool. When you get your hands on that tool, the extent to which you use it, I think plays a major part in how you're ultimately defining the success criteria, right? If you're fully
Yeah.
dependent on it,
And yeah,
yeah,
and unless you use it, you won't know. So,
absolutely.
for me, it's like they say now, AI is not going to replace jobs.
Mm.
It is, it'll replace people who don't use AI. You have to
Absolutely.
evolve yourself to use AI, because AI per se is not going to replace a job.
Right.
It'll
And
replace
and
people who don't use AI.
and I think the fascinating part also, Anita, is like for me personally, when I started out using a couple of tools, maybe like 2 years ago, there were, let's say, 1,000 tools hypothetically on the market to, let's say, get a couple of things done for you. Probably in my line of duty, it could be account-based research. It could be getting more intel
Mm.
about your customers before you even have the first conversation. The biggest change I've seen in these 2 years, there's just been more and more, transformations and additions to that list. If I had 10 tools to probably get, extracts out of, let's say, an annual report, for example, and I know PDF's also doing that part, we now have probably 30, 40, 50 tools doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel this isn't dying anytime soon. In fact, in a couple of years, we'll probably get hundreds more to that list. But I like what you said. It's about balance, right? If you're probably letting it do everything, then you're probably using it the wrong way. It's all about how you use it, like you said.
Yeah, and see, again, for enterprises, and since we are all from the same industry,
Right?
in enterprises, it's all about how interoperability is really taken forward. So you may have tools, but if they're going to be sitting in those silos, only talking to a certain data set, I don't know how much of insight you'll get out of it. So
Right.
therefore, for us, it's about how do you interact, how do you integrate, how do you embed them so that you're able to take a decision that is informed.
Absolutely. Now, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile. It's so beautiful. I really like where you just put out there so well, saying that you're a mother, you're a leader, you're a marketer, you're a traveler. So you basically you're a Wonder Woman, right? If I can say that. I was having a conversation with a senior leader not too long ago, and I asked him. He's a father to 15-year-olds, and he's a leader in, in Adobe as well. And I just asked him, so how do you do it? Like, how do you manage 100 burning things at home? Then there are 100 burning things, like at work. How do you prioritize? So the same question to you, Anindita. Like, you have to be probably on top of your game on your personal self, on your professional bit, right? What's your success like? What's your mantra of like just doing this effortlessly? I'm sure behind this smile, there's like tons of hard work at both ends. But how do you do that?
Um, there's this constant negotiation, okay, between am I balancing enough time? There is a guilt aspect of there's never enough time. Obviously, am I fully present? So I think there's a constant negotiation and a tussle. But I think you learn how to cope by just prioritizing. The way it's worked for me is there are times when, for me, when my kids were much younger, I was very clear that they came first for me in terms of what I needed to do for them, what I needed to be there for them. As they grew up and they became a lot more independent, they gave me the leeway to start focusing back on my career, what maybe I could spend a lot more independent time in doing things that they didn't constantly need me around. So I think it's ruthless prioritization. Um, and at the end of it, it's also about you know balancing those boundaries. Because when we prioritize, you have to prioritize with the intent to be fully present. So if it is to do with my team and my work, I have to be fully present to be giving 200%
Right,
to that task. Similarly, if I have to be with my family, be it my kids or be it my parents or be it any, even if it's a friend who needs me, then you have to ensure that you're there for that person. So you have to prioritize because life is not about only work or only family or only, so it's a mix of everything. So I think for me, um, I've been very, very fortunate to have a very supportive system around me that has given me the freedom to focus on my career, on my ambition, on the growth path that I want to go. But it has also helped me be very true to the fact that, hey, all of us play multiple roles. It's not just me, all of us.
right,
And all of us play beautifully, if you ask me. It just depends on um, how you wish to, look at yourself every day in the mirror and say, hey, I've done a damn good job, and these are the other things that I need to do, and I'll go ahead and do it. So
right.
for me, I think I always say this. Um, my children, I think, have made me a lot more human as a leader,
Mm.
and my leadership roles have made me a more resilient mother.
Wow, that's just so nice. Of like, it's beautiful to capitalize like that. In fact, when I was hearing you, I could draw some parallels from my family, from my parents. And I'm sorry I couldn't introduce you to this bit, but just so you know, my mother, she's an ex-army officer, so she served the army for like 15 years. And my father, he's working as an MD of a freight forwarding company. Now, one of the things I've learned from both of them is to be present wherever you are. Now, both of their work commitments, and we were very like young, and me and my sister, Anindita, when my mother had to leave the army after 15 years. But
Mm.
I never saw her complaining or never like, whining about the fact that, hey, I have like, so much to do probably on a professional front. And then I have like two younger kids to take care of. And she was with us fully, right? Like I couldn't see that, she's probably thinking about 10 different things going on in her head at a work level. Similarly, my father, like he's a leader, he's always available, very approachable. Like if you call him, even if he's in a meeting, he'll just pick up your call and say that, hey, you know what? Just call me back, but I hope nothing's serious. He gives you that that room and benefit that, hey, you know what, I'm always there for you. When I was hearing you, I think that's what stands out for me as a leader. Like, how much are you giving yourself wherever you are in a room, right? You're not worried about, let's say, 100 burning things at work. When you're at work, you're at work. But when you're at home, now that's your time. And one of the things I'd say my generation is guilty of, particularly, is we take our work home. We've reached home, but it's still there, right? We've opened our laptops, right? We're not there yet. So I just feel that that's one of the things we need to learn. But thank you so much. I think the way you said that last line,
Yeah.
leader, that's wonderful.
Yeah, but Mank, you know what? One of the things that we all need to agree is that in today's day and age, it's very fungible. You're constantly on in terms of work or, whatever you're doing. So
Yeah,
and all of us as people have evolved to be able to multitask, and we do that
yeah,
beautifully. So
yeah,
yes, I think it just is about how you prioritize
yeah,
and what's important at that point in time. Sometimes work does take precedence, and it's okay. And sometimes
right,
it is family that takes precedence, or it may be just yourself that takes
right,
precedent. It's okay. They say, no,
absolutely.
the ability to love yourself is a very good gesture and is important.
Absolutely, and so difficult. It's such a simple thing what you just said, but very few people can actually like master that, right? Like the ability to love yourself and just be so affectionate towards it. But no, I fully agree. I think it's about balance, and I think the theme of the conversation so far has been how you balance it, whether it's AI and whether it's life in general. Um, when I started out in corporate 10 years back, so
Hmm.
that's it. So I just got like an on-campus placement with a BFSI company, and I was probably 21 at that time. 21
Hmm.
years of age, still just pivoting from academics to corporate, and my first job becomes selling insurances in an extremely time-sensitive market like India. It took me a while to get up and running, right? I'll be honest, hand to heart. I was overwhelmed with the kind of work that was coming my way. And it was probably one of the
Hmm.
hardest phases of my life. It was difficult, but I had a support system. They made sure I don't fall back, right? I was there to face all the problems that the corporate wanted to give me. And I think that role alone gave me a lot of, let's say, strength to face challenges. In your
Okay.
perspective, or in for you personally, what's been that hard moment, Anindita, whether it's professional, personal, like what has been probably the most difficult phase?
There are multiple actually, Mank. And every phase, as I said, every experience makes you more aware of how things have grown. But obviously, if on the personal front, losing your parents are very big pivotal moments that sort of shape you. Um, uh, Also, when your kids grow up and become independent, I think are very and they give you a perspective that's a lot more Gen Z, but and so those are, I think, area moments where I've really I've looked back and I've said, hey, yes, these are difficult moments, uh, but they've just, helped me uh, build a lot more resilience, I guess, in the way I approach things. They've given me a perspective that's a little more broader. Because sometimes, we get very myopic saying, oh, we are in the moment. Oh, this is terrible. Why has it happened to me? Or things aren't going right and stuff like that. And then you zoom out a little bit, and then you realize that, in the large scheme of things, it's just a small blip, which is not something that you can't get over. So yeah, there have been multiple such moments, multiple, let me tell you, even in work, you know, moments when failure has
Mm,
taught me a lot of things. And sometimes those failures have been big failures.
right.
But yeah, I guess they've just sort of, when I look back, I've had moments which have helped me learn
Mm,
and helped me realize
mm.
that nothing is insurpassable, really. Everything can be overcome as long as you have the right intent and the right motive behind it.
This is the first time I'm speaking with you, but in the conversation I've had with you already, one thing is clear, and this is my understanding of you. You are not the ones who will face a situation and let's say it's a failure, you've probably not like succeeded in it, and it's a setback. You don't take of it as a setback. You look at the larger picture. So you're probably taking out like silver linings out of that situation, then moving on, because for you, the bigger picture matter. Have I summarized that in?
Yeah, because I'm an eternal optimist.
Mm,
And I mean, that's what I say. I mean, you have to be positive. I mean, if you're not positive, then how
absolutely,
would
not
you?
nothing.
For me, that's very important. So, as I said, everybody teaches you something. Every element adds some flavor to your life. So, I'm pretty much. I'm just a very happy, positive person, I guess.
And you mentioned that you learned like you learned some of the Gen Z things probably from your kids. What's the like most important thing you've taken from them?
Um, I think two things, and it's very interesting that you asked me because just yesterday we were talking about something, and something happened, and I think the way my kids bounce back,
Mm,
uh, you know, so very recently there was one of the things is I was amazed at, rejection is very difficult, but the mindset that my son came up with and said, don't worry, I just need to work harder and I will move on. And I mean, sometimes, as a mother, you always want to protect, you want to say, hey, no, they should always never see failure. But I think it's very important for rejection and failure to come into their lives. And the way they respond to it makes you think, saying that maybe there's something that I've done well, is bring them up with the right values because it's very
yep.
important. I think that's what they really thought. So I think both my kids are people who teach me that uh, patience uh, and, of course, no substitute for hard work is
Well
something
said.
they
And I was just thinking about the same thing that you said. Like it's a lot of efforts is to you, Anindita, like how you've probably built that value system very early, in their lives. And I often feel, this is my theory, that kids are a reflection of their parents. The way you're growing up, the way you see things happening inside your house, the way your parents lead you in times. I think that really matters. But no, it's so nice that what your kid just like said, that we'll not like sit down, we'll probably face the challenge again and we'll rise up. That just defines you, not just like as a leader, but at a fundamental level, a human being as well. Because like you said, rejections are inevitable, right? We're not in an
yeah,
ideal world by no means. You
yeah,
would face a lot of these things.
yeah, and never give up. I think that, and I think that's also could be maybe if you really look at our society today in terms of the younger generation. I love them because they're so fearless and they're like, it's okay. Uh, Something has happened, move on. I think that ability to just say fine, take it in their stride is a brilliant opportunity
Right.
that we all of us who are much older can really learn from them. So I really admire that capability in them, in the younger generation.
Absolutely. All right, Anita, the last segment of the conversation is where I try to throw some googlies at you, and you do your
Oh.
best to dodge those googlies. So this is the rapid fire.
Oh
So whatever
God, my
first thing
own
that
taste of my own medicine.
look, so I'll probably put some questions to you. The first thing that will come to your mind as quickly as you can. You need to answer that. So
Okay,
are you ready for it?
done, done,
All
sure.
right.
Let's.
Okay. Um, if your movie, or sorry, let me put it in a different way. If your life as a whole, like the journey that you see and the career that you've had, if you put that and you make a movie or a sitcom, a best-selling sitcom out of it, what do you think would be or should be the title of it?
Unstoppable.
Hmm, wonderful. Okay, lovely. One piece of advice that you were given that played a very important role in your growth.
Believe in yourself. Never stop believing in yourself.
Got it.
And I think that really helped me because if I look back, you know, and and the journey that I've come and where I am today, I think it's The one thing that didn't ever stop me was I didn't stop believing in myself.
And that's been continuous in your journey, like, forever. One piece of advice you'd like to give to people who are watching this.
Wow. Um, don't give up. Um, you know, see, the thing that I'd like to say is always remember there's a time for everything. So don't judge yourself on the basis of time. Judge yourself on the basis of what you finally stand for
Right?
and the knowledge that you come with. So for me, it's always focus on standing out
Right.
thanks to knowledge, and everything else will follow.
Well said. According to you, the most important skill in a leader?
Empathy.
Well said. Um,
I'm giving you one word answers. If you want me to
that's fine.
elaborate,
No,
tell
no, not at
me.
all. And I'm so, like, I'm fully agreeing with it. Like, there's so much of overlap, and I'm hearing you. Like, empathy, it's so underrated, right? They should probably have like an entire course just to teach empathy in probably all levels. But no, I'm with you, Anindita. Um, your ideal weekend. What does your ideal weekend look like?
Oh, yeah, this can't be said on a podcast because I may just want to say, sit in my pajamas with a book and a cup of tea and
That's
just
fine.
sleep through the weekend.
That is an ideal weekend, Anindita. That's absolutely ideal, right? No, but the intent of asking you is like, what do you do, to unwind? And like you said, you want to recharge, you want to, to catch back on sleep, right? You want to probably read something, and you're a traveler, right? Maybe my next question was, and traveled probably so much. Your favorite top three destinations to travel?
Um, Maldives, because I had a lovely family holiday there. Uh, there are places I haven't gone to,
Right.
which I'd like to go to. Okay, so Leh Ladakh is one place that I really want to go to because I just feel it's such a pretty place. And I'm very next week I'm off to Hawaii, so I've heard a lot about it. So I'm hoping that it'll be a great place to visit.
Oh, wonderful. You're actually, so you really, I think, plan trips in a way where you probably want to cover everything, right? Like, you want to probably go to a beach place. You probably want to go to a mountain place. I don't think I can ask you the question, are you a beach or a mountain person? I think you're both. You probably like
Yeah,
to cover everything.
oh, the other place is Japan. I really want to go to Japan. That's one country that is on my bucket list. Actually, there's so many. But yeah, Japan, I guess, is also for part of our family bucket list, so
Okay,
an area that I want to go to.
wonderful. And the last one is there any skill? Because you've
Mhm.
had such an amazing career, but if you now see, like, in the future, do you think there's any skill that is very important for your survival? People who still don't probably exhibit that and they need to learn it to be future ready. Is it like AI, becoming tech ready? Anything as per like your vantage point?
If you ask me, it's not about a technology, it's about being fearless to try anything. Be it a technology, be it a skill, be it a job, be it a profile, be it a place. It's just the ability
Right.
for you to be fearless to experiment on it. I think that's the skill that needs to be there.
Wonderful. Well, you've dodged all the googlies very well. I can say that. But that brings me to the end of it. I don't know how the time passed because it was such a nice conversation hearing you, Anandita. And like, not just me, I'm sure when we release this, so many people would just raise their hands up and say that, hey, we take so many parallels and so much inspiration from your journey. And that was the whole idea of doing it. So thank you. If I can summarize this, I think being fearless, believing in yourself stands out, and how we learn every day from our kids and people around us also shape who we are as an individual. But I'd like to thank you, Anindita. This was so nice. I didn't feel it's the first time I'm talking with you, right? You're so natural. It's so nice to have a conversation where you just covered everything. And I've taken back so many takeaways, especially your ideal destinations now, which is Japan and Hawaii. But but no, I hope it was a good chat for you. And what do you make
Absolutely.
out of? Yeah.
What did you learn from this? May I
Well,
ask you?
well, a couple of things. When you told me about the example of your son, of your kid, where he had a situation. He didn't, look at it as like this big mountain or this big thing that's just fallen. He's just risen up. And I read this line somewhere: there is always a comeback after a setback. I love that because even at my
Mm.
level, I'll probably be crying about 10 things that are happening in my life. But when I have these conversations, and like I told you about my parents, Anindita, like my mother and my father, like
Yeah.
when I am in a spot, I would first think, hey, how would my mother face this? And that's the reason, right? Why? So I just so you know, like before Adobe, I was with a startup for 5 years. Things were going good, wonderful, but it was a sense of comfort, right? And then I probably pictured it from my mom's head, like, hey, if mom would have been in my position, she would be thinking about the next challenge where I can even become better, right? And that's what I did,
Yeah.
right? So I made that move. So first thing I've taken back is don't treat these temporary setbacks. And you mentioned such a brilliant thing about time. It's a phase. You don't define things just because it's happened at a particular time, right? It's just a phase that will come and go. Your values, your fundamentals define who you are as a person. Because whether you go rock bottom, whether you climb to the top, your personality is built on these fundamentals which come to you, as a person. If those are intact, you can take anything that life throws at you. So that's my takeaway.